Hello everyone, this video will go through the story of Yakuza 6. In 2012, Kiryu is taken to a hospital where he is treated for injury in fighting Aizawa, but is soon visited by police officers who seek to arrest him. Then he is sentenced to prison for charge of assault and disturbing public peace. A year later, Haruka, Kiryu's adopted daughter, returned to living with her foster siblings at Morning Glory Orphanage in Okinawa. The still ongoing media harassment makes her fear that Kiryu's Yakuza background and herself being an idol will have a negative effect on the lives of other children in an orphanage. She departs in the middle of the night without saying goodbye. In 2016, Kiryu is finally released from prison after 4 years behind bars. He travels back to Okinawa and reunites with his foster kids, only to learn that Haruka had departed 3 years prior. Then Kiryu departs for Tokyo to search for his daughter. In Kamurocho, Kiryu sees a new Chinese mafia called Sayo Triad have moved into the district and have been at war with Dojo Clan. And he soon gets an urgent call from his friend Detective Date. He's found Haruka, but unfortunately, she's been a victim of a hit and run and is interned at Toto University Hospital in critical condition. Kiryu travels to the hospital. Once there, he is shocked to see what had been found with Haruka at the scene of the accident, her year-old son Haruto. Several days later, an employee from Child Protective Services wants to take Haruto into government custody while Haruka is unconscious. Kiryu tries to persuade him to leave Haruto in his care, but he is rejected since Haruka is thought to have no living blood relatives. Not willing to let Haruto to go to an orphanage, Kiryu surreptitiously takes the baby from the hospital. Additionally, while speaking with Date in News Arena, Kiryu is told a lad as to where Haruka had been during the previous 3 years. A photo which the police recovered from Haruka's broken cell phone was taken a few months back in Hiroshima. Determined to discover what Haruka had been doing for the past few years and to track down the father of her baby, Kiryu traveled to Hiroshima with Haruto. While inquiring with the locals, Kiryu befriends Kiyomi, the owner of a small bar, and she finds him a place to stay. Kiryu also runs afoul of Nagumo, a Yakuza captain who's in love with Kiyomi and mistakes Kiryu for a romantic rival. When Nagumo gets into a fight with Kiryu outside Kiyomi's bar, they are interrupted by Koji Matsuzoi, the patriarch of the Matsuzoi family, who had ordered Nagumo to extort protection money from Kiyomi's bar, but Nagumo secretly disobeyed him. Matsuzoi's men kidnapped him to a nearby hill, where Nagumo is beaten for his insubordination. Kiryu interrupts and fights Matsuzoi and his men, quickly defeating them all. An impressed Nagumo apologizes for his mistreatment and pledges his eternal friendship. Nagumo takes Kiryu to the Hirose family office to meet his fellow Yakuza, Usami and Takashira, as well as his boss, Toru Hirose. Though the family members are initially cold to Kiryu because of his previous enmity with Nagumo, they warm up to him after he helps them drive away some rowdy customers from the family spa, Moreno. Kiryu shows the Hirose men a picture of Haruka and asks if they knew her while she was in town, and all of them react oddly, which makes Kiryu realize they know something but they are hiding it from him. Later that night, Nagumo confesses that they didn't tell Kiryu the truth because Haruka had asked them to keep quiet about her life in Hiroshima. He admits that Haruka had met and befriended them when she came to town 3 years prior, but they don't know who Haruto's father is since Haruka didn't appear pregnant when she left town a year and a half prior. During that period of time, Haruka had a close friend, Kiyomi. Kiryu meets with Kiyomi to speak about Haruka, but they are interrupted by Someya, a high-ranking Yakuza of Dojo Clan, who reveals that he and Kiyomi had a relationship before. That night, word reaches the group that Kiyomi is being kidnapped and taken to a nearby hotel by Someya's men. Immediately, Kiryu and Hirose men organize themselves to go rescue her. The rescue party raid the hotel, and Kiryu eventually confronts Someya at his luxury suite. But Someya shows Kiryu to the penthouse dining room, where Kiyomi is attending a dinner with Heizo Iwami, chairman of Yomi Alliance, and his son, Tsuneo Iwami. Kiyomi is there because he is Someya's ex-wife, and Someya is preparing an oath with captain of Yomi Alliance, Koshimitsu. Iwami hopes to make Kiryu a witness of the alliance between Dojo and Yomi, but Kiryu refuses, since Dojo's chairman, Daigo Dojima, is currently in prison. Back at the Hirose family office, Kiyomi tells Kiryu that she suspects Haruto's father might be Tatsukawa, a former Hirose family member who has left for Tokyo after quitting the family. The next night, Kiryu, Nagumo, and Usami arrive in Tokyo and go to Stardust to inquire about Tatsugawa, but they find that the club has been bought by the Jingo Mafia, who are trying to re-establish their presence in Tokyo. Jongji Han, the Jingo's new regional leader, has turned the host club into a male striptease bar. He offers to tell Kiryu Tatsugawa's address if he fights him in front of Stardust audience of excited women. Kiryu initially refuses, but ultimately agrees after Usami fights Han in his stead and quickly gets beaten. Kiryu and Han have a one-on-one battle in a lavish boxing ring, which Kiryu ends up winning. Though angry at being bested, Han honors his deal and gives Kiryu Tatsugawa's address. Unfortunately, when the trio travel there, they only find his dead body, along with that of an unknown woman, both murdered. Based on the weapon and the type of kill, the police suspect Tatsugawa's murder to be committed by the Chinese mafia Sayo tribe. Then Kiryu decides to question Edge, one Sayo officer he met before, to learn if Tatsugawa's murder was in any way connected to Haruka. With Akiyama's help, Kiryu sneaks into the Sayo tribe base in Little Asia and confronts Edge. The tribe officer admits the crime, but claims that the murder was due to Tatsugawa's betrayal, not related to Haruka. Then he challenges Kiryu in an attempt to take him down. The fight is soon joined by Kiryu's friends and many of Edge's goons. As Kiryu gains the upper hand, they are interrupted by the arrival of Sayo's ringleader, Big Lo, and patriarch Matsuzoi, who is revealed to be a Sayo infiltrator within Yomei Alliance all along. Holding Kiryu's men at gunpoint, Lo requests to meet Kiryu alone at the ruins of Shangri-La the following night. Then he lets them leave. Back at New Serena, Kiryu is visited by Someya, who proposes to go with him to the meeting with Big Lo in order to negotiate a ceasefire between Dojokan and the Sayo triad. Though begrudgingly, Kiryu agrees to take Someya with him the next night. However, once there, Someya draws the gun and tries to shoot Lo, since his talk of negotiating was merely a ruse. Kiryu stops Someya by beating him up. A beaten Someya admits a conspiracy. Several years ago, he and the current acting chairman Sugai caused a fire in Little Asia that allowed the Sayo triad to move into Kamurocho, and hence caused a war which made Dojo 6 chairman Daigo be traced by police and sent into the prison. However, after Big Lo's son was killed, the war between Sayo and the Dojo became real. Moreover, they have a secret financial backer all along, Tsuneo Iwami, the Yomei chairman's son and heir to Iwami shipbuilding. After Someya departs, his life spared by Big Lo, Kiryu is told that Haruto's father is not Tatsugawa. At the same time, he receives a distressed call from Usami that back in Hiroshima, Haruto disappeared. Kiryu returns to Hiroshima, being told by Kiyomi that Haruto is taken away by Patriarch Hirose. While searching for Hirose, Kiryu is stopped by Captain of Yomei Alliance, Koshimitsu, who is also after Haruto. The two fight in the middle of the street, ending with Koshimitsu knocked out by Nagumo with a bottle. Then Patriarch Hirose appears with Haruto safe in his arm. He explained that he fled with Haruto to prevent him from being taken by Yomei Alliance, and much to the shock of everyone, Hirose revealed that Haruto is tied to the larger, dangerous secret involving Sayo triad and Yomei Alliance, and his father is Usami. Usami confesses that he briefly dated Haruka and only slept together once, but she left town without saying why soon after. Then Matsuzoi walks in, revealing that he and Tatsugawa were sent by Sayo triad in order to secretly watch over Usami, since he is the estranged son of Big Lo. After Lo's eldest son was killed, Usami became the heir to the ringleader of Sayo triad. In order to preserve the Sayo's Chinese bloodlines, Tatsugawa was ordered to get rid of Haruka's baby, Haruto. However, he made a deal with Tsuneo Iwami, who was also wanting a baby for some purpose. When trying to kidnap Haruto, he is hit by Haruka, who runs away, and then his car accidentally hit Haruka, who uses her body to protect her baby. The group's conversation is interrupted by the unexpected arrival of Jongji Han and his Jingo Mafia. Their goal is also Haruto. Though Kiryu fights him, he is unable to prevent the Koreans from snatching Haruto. Then he chases on a boat, until finally meeting Han. Han reveals to be paid by Tsuneo Iwami, who wants to use this baby to force Usami to take his order. They have a fist fight again, which culminates in Kiryu's victory. Once defeated, Han says that Tsuneo is looking to expose a huge secret, but before he can elaborate any further, he is suddenly shot dead by an unseen assassin. Elsewhere, Matsuzoi's body is floating in a bay with a bullet between his eyes. The following day, Kiryu and Usami travel to Kamurocho together to meet with Big Lo, hoping to convince him to cease targeting Haruka and Haruto. Although having planned to go in together, Usami sneaks out alone and heads to Little Asia on his own. When Kiryu notices and follows him to Little Asia, he is shocked to see the Sayo headquarters on fire. Usami had pretended to be drunk and demanded to speak with his father. Once he was allowed in, he used the gasoline to set the building ablaze. After making it to Bigelow's office, Kiryu finds Usami standing over a wounded Lo. Usami intends to kill them both in the fire so that Sayo will stop killing Haruto. However, Kiryu refuses to let him throw his life away needlessly and manages to wear Usami down and gets him to leave the building. An injured Lo comes out with them, and after learning that it was Hirose who told him about Usami's true parentage, the Sayo leader revealed that Hirose is part of Yumei Alliance chairman Iwame's conspiracy to guard the secret, and he deliberately told them the truth to get Usami to kill Lo, since he also knows about the secret. After Lo recovers, he tells them the whole story. Lo's father had been involved in the secret with Chairman Heizo Iwami back during World War II. On his deathbed, Lo's father gave him a code which he claimed would lead to the secret's hiding place. However, Lo was threatened not to expose it by Hirose, who was sent by Iwami, which makes him believe Hirose's role in the conspiracy. Kiryu goes back to Hiroshima, where he uses the code and follows a series of clues throughout the city, eventually discovering that the secret housed in an underground bunker beneath the abandoned Iwami shipyard. When he is about to enter, he is suddenly attacked by Hirose, but one of the Hirose family members, Naoto, manages to enter the bunker and triggers a switch, which opens a massive submerged gate beneath the bay and rises up a gigantic World War II-era battleship, dubbed Yamato Mark II. Chairman Iwami makes his presence known, explaining the whole secret. Towards the end of World War II, national hero Admiral Minoru Daidoji embezzled massive amounts of military funds to construct the world's most powerful battleship in a desperate bid to turn the tide of the war. To build the ship, he used the nascent Iwami shipbuilding and the cheap labor provided by Chinese workers illegally smuggled into the country by Sayo Triad. After the war ended with Japan's defeat, Daidoji ordered Iwami to destroy the ship, but Iwami kept it hidden, using it instead as a blackmail material through which he built his vast fortune. As one of his subordinates, Hirose killed many innocent people to keep this a secret, but this time he's unwilling to kill again. Iwami fatally shoots him before fleeing. Later on, at his office, when trying to strategize about how to deal with the battleship exposure, Iwami is interrupted by his son Tsuneo, who summons Koshimitsu and orders him to execute his father. Tsuneo then meets with the bedridden Daidoji, pinning the responsibility for the battleship entirely on his dead father, and requests the same benefits. Daidoji agrees, on the condition that Tsuneo kill the one who exposed the secret. At the Tokyo Police Hospital, Haruka finally awakens from her coma, much to the delight of Usami and Date, and she then has a tearful reunion with her father, Kiryu. Kiryu and his friends go to the Millennium Tower to confront the dojo's acting chairman, Sugai, but inside his office, he only finds Someya, with Sugai being elsewhere and watching through a live feed. On Sugai's orders, Someya attacks Kiryu, though he's no match for his rival. In fact, Sugai and Tsuneo have taken Kiyomi hostage, and threatened to kill her if Someya did not comply. Tsuneo offers to spare Kiyomi if Kiryu kills Someya. When Kiryu cannot bring him to do so, Someya commits seppuku to save his loved one. Driven by the desire of revenge, Kiryu and Nagumo plot to kill Tsuneo and Sugai at the funeral of Chairman Iwami. However, during the funeral, Tsuneo and Sugai reveal that they found Haruka and Haruto and have taken them hostage. Tsuneo tells Kiryu and Nagumo that he can only spare Haruka and her baby on the condition that they too allow themselves to be killed. But fortunately, Usami, Matsunaga, and Naoto arrive, and they manage to rescue Haruka. Now with nothing holding him back, Kiryu attacks and brutally beats Tsuneo, easily defeating him. When Suga grabs a discarded gun and tries to shoot Haruka, both Kiryu and Usami dive in front of the shooter, with Kiryu taking a bullet instead. Realizing that he has no chance to win, Suga eventually commits suicide. When Kiryu awakens in a hospital bed, he sees a politician with a large amount of money beside him. The politician identifies himself as Daidoji's successor, and asks Kiryu not to reveal Daidoji's role in the secret of battleship. Kiryu agrees. After being promised that his friends will all be spared, he is willing to be forged a fake death and disappear forever.